Today we're going to be installing this Emporia Vue Gen 2, I believe it's called, Smart Home Energy Monitor. Yep, I'm doing this because I'm wanting to see how much it costs to charge this electric tractor. But as I'm thinking about it, it's going to enable me to make a sizable tax deduction next year that I hadn't even considered. Let's get started. Okay, Bo, let's see what we got in here. It says find the installation manual in the app. Believe it or not, I've already read the installation manual online. You can get this in a few different configurations. This right here would be the base configuration with the Vue itself and the accessories that it comes with. These accessories are for your main on your power box, right? And these are upgrades. So each of these have 8 circuit sensors in them, and you can get it with up to 16. So that's what I bought, was the complete 16 circuit kit. This tells which side goes toward the breaker. I think that may have been improved recently. It looks like that was one of the confusing parts to some people. This is a 2.5 millimeter plug. These mains are 3.5 millimeter plugs. Okay. This is one other piece that's interesting right here is this must be our Wi-Fi antenna. A couple of pieces of wire there, I'm not sure. Hey, what are you doing, Bo? Get down. Oh yeah. Well, this is our Wi-Fi antenna, which plugs right there. That's going to be a bit of a challenge for me, given how my box is mounted. We got to get serious about this, Bo. We don't have all afternoon. Yeah. Okay, every time I see anybody do anything electrical, they go on and on and on about how dangerous it is. Yes, of course it's dangerous, and of course you can kill yourself doing this. Basically anything that we do on this channel is something where you could die if you didn't pay attention to what you were doing, didn't know what you were doing, I suppose. If you'll just get some basic electrical experience, electrical knowledge, you can do it via book, you can do it via YouTube. I took a class in college way back in the day on electrical wiring, just one class. I didn't get any sort of a license or anything, but just some basic knowledge, and there's no reason to be scared, okay? I think being fearful of something is a great way to cause even more danger, right? Being aware of it, understanding it, is a good way to reduce the danger, believe it or not. So being fearful to me is one of the worst things one can be, and so that's why we don't go overboard on saying how dangerous something is. We're not trying to minimize the danger. We're not trying to say it doesn't exist. Rather, we're just trying to say, deal with it, right? I mean, danger is a part of life. Very few things are truly safe. Okay, here we go. Here's the inside of our box. The good news is we have a lot of space in our box. We are going to be able to have plenty of room to put all this in there. Our box in our house is totally full. It has every circuit full. It has room for a lot of circuits, and just so many wires crammed to it, I think would be difficult to get one of these in here. This is going to have to sit down here, and there's going to be wires running through the whole box. So let's just take a moment and talk a little about what's dangerous about one of these electrical boxes. First of all, this one's got some very nice, I'm going to use the rubber end here in case I do happen to trip. This one's got some very nice yellow protectors here. A lot of times these lugs are exposed, and so this one is not exposed. I really like that. That removes one of the most dangerous areas. These two lines are dangerous, right? So anywhere the wire would be exposed on them. Now, those two lines will essentially energize these two poles, okay? So both sides of these are hot. So if I'd reach in there and grab those good and hard, especially with wet hands and feet, I might not have to worry about this place anymore. But that's how that works. Okay, so keep your hands away from that. The neutral bars here shouldn't be any issue unless they're wired wrong. But it's mainly those two bars right there. We'll try to stay away from those. I'm going to start with the Wi-Fi antenna. I'm not sure whether I'm going to have issue getting signal or not. It's way up at the top behind you, so basically 35, 36 feet away. It's intended to go through one of these knockouts. So I think I'm going to take out one of these knockouts in the bottom here and put the antenna right under here. So we have wood in front of that. I think we should be okay to be able to get signal through that wood with the 30 or 35 feet. It should be a straight shot, right? We don't put anything in front of this per code and just general safety. So I'm going to put the antenna here and leave the other end dangling for a moment. Okay, so there's the antenna right there. I think that's going to be good enough. That's a lot less work than what I expected. I may have to go to the more work, and if that's the case, I'll have to actually probably drill a hole and bring it out down here so that it's got, you know, line of sight visibility to the access point. Okay, now we're going to attach the two big sensors here. And it says to have the L towards the breakers. I don't know what K stands for. It has K and L here, but I'm assuming L stands for load. And that, in this case, the load would be this direction. Now I'm going to plug those into number 1 and number 2 here. The third would only be necessary on 3-phase. Now the next step is going to be powering this little box. So there's a cable here, and we have 4 wires coming out of it. Red, blue, white, and black. Let's figure out what we do with those. This manual is step by step. As it connects to the power, it says I have to tell it whether I installed 1 or 2 or 3 of these. Well, I installed 2 of them. I have 2 choices to power this. One is to insert 2 separate breakers, 2 new breakers here, 15 amp breakers, to be able to power it. The other is to borrow some power from existing breakers, okay? I'm being a little bit of a cheapskate. I don't really want to buy 2 new breakers for this, nor do I want to take up 2 extra spots in my box. So being a cheapskate in 2 ways, I may reconsider that if the directions further down the line indicate that I'm going to lose functionality with this approach. But for now, I'm going to say that I don't have an empty breaker. So I've got these 4 power wires, red and black. I've wired right to 2 adjacent breakers. Okay, that way I catch both legs. Okay, and the white and blue are both wired to the neutral bar. So we should have power there. I have not turned it on yet. Both of these breakers are off. They are various light and outlet breakers in the house. I don't even know which ones they are, but they needed to be at least 15 amp. These are 20. I run number 12 wire throughout the shed. And they need to be adjacent, or at least on each different leg. The manual said adjacent, so I went with that. I don't know if there's any difference about being apart, but they definitely need to be on each leg. And one trick to notice on how these boxes are made is that every other breaker, notice, is on the opposite leg. They're intended to give you a little bit of balance between the 2 legs for your 110 circuits. And the other part is when you have a 240 volt circuit, that's how it can be double wide. Both legs of it, let's see, yeah, that's one there. Both legs of it will be used, right? So that's how they get by. So every other location alternates which leg of the main power is used. The next step is to install these sensors. They call them 50 amp CT sensors. Current is probably what they are. They're I don't know what the T stands for. They're magnets. It says to make sure you have the L going away from the breaker. Again, I don't know what the K is, but the L I'm sure is load. Each of these is made for a 115 or 120 volt circuit, right? They're not made for 240 volt circuits. In many cases, the 240 volt circuits are balanced, you might say. So for instance, this one right here goes to my air compressor. I'm fairly confident that the two sides of this will use the same amount of current on each leg. So in that case, I can put one of these sensors on and multiply the output by 2 in the software, okay? If it's an unbalanced, say it's going to a sub panel somewhere, again, with these legs being separated, you would not have a balanced load on each leg if you're going to a sub panel from a breaker. In that case, you would need to put sensors on each leg, on each wire coming out of that breaker. Another example of that is like a clothes dryer. It's not balanced. There's probably many others. I'm not really going to try to go through that detail, but if you believe it's a balanced, if you believe it's something that's using consistently off of each leg, then you should only need one sensor. So that's what I'm going to use on my air compressor, on my air conditioner, on my welder, which is going to be my tractor charging plug, and essentially all of my 240 volt circuits. They're easy to snap together, okay? The 240 volt circuits are the most important to me. I've only got 16 of these. In fact, 16 is the max that this unit supports. That's, I would say, a little bit of a disadvantage. You know, I think I have close to 40 circuits in the house. This one, I think I had, 20 legs total or something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 19 legs total. If I share the 240s, I might have enough for every one. Sometimes I can open this with my fingers, and sometimes I have to use a screwdriver. These are actually numbered on the back side, and as I go through this application, I can tell what the name of the circuit. This one is the one that's going to be used to charge the Solectrac tractor, so I'm going to call it Solectrac, okay? The second one is on one leg of my lift circuit. So I can say enter another one, and it's going to be the lift and its multiplier. I insert the multiplier right here as well. So all these 240 volt circuits, I will need a multiplier of 2. This one here is the air compressor. So that's number 3. And I'll just go through and do the rest of these. Okay, so I think this is the worst part so far. It's a rat's nest, or a mouse nest. Maybe that's why Bo wants to try to be up here. What in the world? Anyway, yeah, I don't know how to get this. These ends are all put on, so I can't cut those wires short. I can't do anything. You are a nutcase. You don't need to be getting all my electrical screws off on the ground. But yeah, I've got to somehow figure out how to organize that a little better. That's not very easy to do, given that you can't cut any of the wires short. Probably the best thing for me to do is just box it all up and not worry about it anymore. The first step of the software setup went so quickly that I really didn't even have a chance to record it. While I was finishing plugging in those devices and giving them names and everything, as soon as I got to the last step, it said, hey, is Bluetooth on your phone? Yeah. And then it said, this device wants to connect, and I just pressed next, 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 and allowed it to connect to my Wi-Fi network and then connect to the cloud, and that's where we are right now. Meanwhile, I dangled the idea of a hidden tax deduction here, and you guys are saying, hold it, we're playing in your electrical box. What in the world do you mean by tax deduction? Well, my accountant has always told me that if I could separate the energy used in my shop here from the energy used at the house, that I could deduct that energy usage cost. The obvious way to do this is to run separate service, right? But that costs an additional monthly fee just to have the meter, and it might even cost me to run the meter. I'm not sure about that. So I've never really done that. I just didn't want to pay the extra fee. It's somewhere $30, $50, maybe even $60 a month, maybe even more at some places, just for that, just to have the meter and to have it here all the time. So I stumbled into this, again, just by wanting to track the power usage for the new Solectrac tractor that we have for a year. But why not measure the overall power usage I'm using here with this system? This will be something I can document. There's no reason why then I cannot deduct that portion of my power utilization from my income taxes. I think it'll be more than enough to pay for this system. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Let me show you some more of the software setup. So this is the Emporia app on my iPhone. I've named my device TTWT Shed Power Usage, and it shows the total usage in the first line, and it shows what all is using power right now, and it's sorted by the amount of usage. So my main lights, all these 9 lights in here, are using about 1500 watts, 1.503, 1.506 kilowatts. The furnace fan is running right now. You'll notice that's not a huge amount because that's just the fan. The actual furnace is heated by gas. The panel, I don't even know what panel 10 is. Yeah, I know, I didn't do a great job when I was putting everything in of getting it stated. Now I named this one circuit Solectrac, okay? The air compressor, so you can see all of those. Now let's go to the graphs. So now we're seeing the power usage per minute. That shows how long it's been on. I haven't even had it on an hour yet. But I turned the lights off here for a moment. This is the light usage. I forced my air compressor to run, jumped right up there like that. Now, what I'm seeing here is that it doesn't show quite as high for the air compressor as it did when we were going by second. But of course, when we go by second, I quickly lose this history. It looks like they keep the 1 second interval data for at least 30 minutes, maybe an hour. This is the minute level, the hour level. We haven't even had it on an hour yet, so that's what we're going to see. So this shows the total peak demand this month. Okay, that's a 15-minute demand. The December usage total for the month, I've used 1 kilowatt since we've been going here. And right now we're using 2.3 kilowatts actively. We can configure notifications here. Several different notifications can be configured. It looks like that one, home mechanical issues, is not even enabled yet, right? From the system. Unusual consumption, I guess I could do that. There's several energy savings opportunities. You can turn on which of these notifications that you actually want to see. So let's talk a little about ways we might get the data in the software. I didn't choose this device because of excessive software flexibility. In fact, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to that at all. Back in my software days, I would have. That would have been a critical priority for me to make sure that it had web service access, a lot of integrations. I do find out that it does have a web service access. I don't have that detail available to me. Apparently you have to email or contact them via customer support to get the web service information, but it is available. I found a few integrations online that use Python, and one uses a database that you have to subscribe to. That wasn't very exciting. I found another YouTube video that showed that it used the Home Assist or Home Assistant application, which looked pretty fancy. For me, I wasn't really looking to get into the home automation front. I want this for a particular purpose. I thought this device was cost effective. I paid $169, I believe, for the system plus all 16 sensors. I actually bought a couple more outlets, smart outlets that I think you can monitor as well. Haven't got those hooked up yet. I'm not sure where I'll use them, but I thought I would go ahead and get them. Now you can directly access the data from your app. You can export it to CSV, comma delimited files. You can bring that into Excel and do some work on it yourself. You don't have to have a lot of software skill to be able to do that. So at least in a primitive form, the data is available, and you can probably make that do what you want to do. If you're a programmer, you'll want something more advanced. In addition to the phone application, there is a website, a web application that's available as well. I believe it gives you about the same information. We'll show some screenshots here. You can see power usage on any individual circuits. You can see it at the 1 second level, at the 1 minute level, at the I don't know, hour and day, whatever. And they store the 1 hour data indefinitely. They store the 1 second and 1 minute data for different periods of time. So there is some history on the most detailed data, and there's indefinite history on the other. As far as I know, this cloud service doesn't cost anything. So that's a nice feature of it as well. Overall, quite a cost-effective system. This product's not sponsored. I just chose it off the internet and decided that it was the one that I wanted to try. You can buy it from our Amazon store. It's in the electrical, HVAC, lighting section. You know, it's no big deal to me if you want to buy it there or anywhere else. I'm just making it available to you. Again, the purpose is not to have a sponsored product here. This is just what I chose. Again, the application for me is to be able to monitor the power consumption of the Solectrac tractor. So when I plug it in, how much power does it take to charge it? Our electricity is very expensive here. We're actually considering getting solar. We're just not exactly sure where to mount it, how to do it, whether it's something I can do myself or do I want to just pay somebody to do the complete system. That's something for a longer term discussion for us. Obviously, you can leave your feedback in the comments. And you can leave your feedback on this system. That would be appreciated. It's the Emporia Vue Smart Home Sensor, Smart Home Monitor, whatever. So far, I was impressed with the installation. The worst part of it, as you saw, was the rat's nest that it left in my box. Of course, after I turned the camera off, I straightened all those wires and zip tied them all together, and I got it all looking nice and neat. Yeah. I just shoved the lid over it. You know that that's what I would do. But we'll see how this goes, and I'll keep you updated on the tractor's energy usage. If I can figure out a way, I may publish this data of my energy usage in the shed, but I'm not sure I have the time, quite frankly, to hook up the web services and wire it up to my own website or whatever. So we'll see how that goes. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you're interested in more videos like this, let us know. If you say, look, that had nothing to do with tractors, I don't even know why I'm watching this, well, that's fine too. Let us know that too. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the wicked and the good. Hey, you can't have the antenna.